You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy.
And now, the hunt for the perfect album.
Hello, dear listeners, and welcome back to the hunt for the perfect album. How you doing, mate?
I'm good.
That's good. I'm a little bit anxious. I'm anxious about this one. We don't, really talk to each other about the music before recording. But you've kind of teased me a little bit in the lead up to this, letting me know that maybe you didn't like this album. So
I don't mean to tease you. Look, we're not always going to like everything we give each other. This is a part about
100%.
discovering new things, learning new stuff.
100%.
It's not always going to hit. So I hope we will always be friends.
We're always going to be friends, mate.
Courting Strong by a band called Martha.
Yes.
Now, look, I should preface this by saying I like punk.
Yep.
I like kind of garage. Some of my favorite bands are like the Ramones, and I used to listen to like the Descendants, and
who are much
Black
heavier
Flag
punk,
and,
much heavier punk than this.
It doesn't need to be polished for me to like it. But I'm not generally a huge fan of
the DIY movement.
What sounds like kind of schoolyard band, like and when I started playing this, it kind of that's the sort of sense I got. Is it kind of feels a bit like someone's student band.
Yeah, right.
And that's kind of the sense I got. I listened to it a second time because I know that you're a big fan, and I wanted to kind of give it a go. And on the second listen, I fucking loved it. It's really good.
Oh, right. You fucking had me going there, mate. Now I actually don't know. Now I actually don't know which side is serious. Like, I don't know whether you liked or hated this.
No, I did like it.
Okay.
Everything I said is true. It sounds like a student band. They sound like they're about fucking 14, which they might be. I know.
I think the difference, and I know exactly what you're saying, and I listen to a lot of DIY, and this might shock you. This is one of the more polished bands that I listen to. This to me is in that, and I can't remember how I came across Martha. Like I said with Guppy by Charlie Bliss, I find a lot of music by scrolling related artists on Spotify, which 100% is how I found these guys. I can't remember. I may have actually found them through the Charlie Bliss related artists. I suspect it was
find that hard to believe.
I suspect it was probably someone more like Tullycraft. I don't know if you're familiar with
them,
Tullycraft.
but reminded me a lot of the Zit Remedy from Degrassi Junior High.
could have been Shonen Knife, who are a Japanese band that I'm a fan of. This is one of the more polished ones. I think for me, what makes me love them and this album as much as I do, I think their songwriting is much stronger than you get from a lot of other DIY bands.
It's very evocative. Like this to me, and I know they're from Durham. I assume because this is from like a decade ago.
Yeah.
And it's their first album.
Their newer albums, production-wise,
teenagers.
is a lot better. Yes. But I think that even back here, those guitar hooks are fucking well written. I think
the songs are very well written.
Yeah.
The lyrics are really good and really evocative.
Yeah.
But I think what I actually like this about them, which I didn't think I would. The first listen, I was kind of going until about track 3.
Yeah.
Once I got to track 3 on the first listen, I was enjoying it. I just thought, I'm gonna fucking be on this one. But the lyrics, obviously the voices themselves, it feels like a student band.
Yeah.
And I'm unapologetically a big fan of Glee.
Okay.
I loved
I didn't expect to hear Glee come up on this episode.
There's not a huge... Just the whole high schoolers making music. yeah, as I said, Degrassi Junior High, that was my jam back in the 90s, and their band, The Zit Remedy. Big fan. I love shows and movies about up and coming bands. So I kind of like the sense that I got from this. It feels like a student band that's come together in high school and they're just doing their thing.
Yeah.
But they're really good at it because the lyrics are, they're talking about school, they're talking about their GCSEs, they're talking about one line, and you know I love lines of lyrics that pop out at me. You lost your lucky purple lighter on the bus to
Brighton, I think
Brighton.
it is. Yeah.
I was like that jumped out. It was like, what a fucking great line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I really enjoyed all of this album.
Okay.
Some songs I don't think didn't jump out at me as much as others, but by and large I really enjoyed it. And when it first started, I didn't think I would. So there you go.
Nice. Okay. So you said that it wasn't really until track 3 on your first listen that you started enjoying
On
it.
my first listen, weirdly, track 1 and 2 are 2 of my favourites now.
I was going to say, because track 2, 1997, Passing in the Hallway, is one of my favourites.
That's the most high school of all of them.
It is.
That's
is,
the one where they
definitely.
actually talk about...
Boring. School is totally boring.
Ayla was singing along with that this afternoon in the car.
Nice. Well, this is one of those bands for me where I can't help but sing along.
The whole album feels like I'm watching Grange Hill or something.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Especially, I mean...
Met when we were 7. Now we're both in year 11, and it scares me that you act like it's a joke when they tell you off for smoking. It's tearing me apart, so I drew your name inside a heart. Oh, Maureen, school is totally boring. GCSEs really get to me. I want for your company, and I think it's high time we took a walk by the riverside. We could sit near the daffodils, and we got some time to kill. It's true that I've been so anemic since you broke my double helix in my heart.
One of the... and I'm jumping ahead. I'll go through the tracks one by one, but I'm jumping ahead. But one of the ones that just jumped out and made me want to hug it was Bubble in My Bloodstream.
Yeah. One of the first songs I heard was...
chipmunk voice go, there's a bubble in my bloodstream.
Yeah.
It's the bubble in my bloodstream, it's the itch I can't possibly scratch. It's the congenital condition I hope was in remission that inevitably came back. It's the bubble in my bloodstream. It's the bubble in my bloodstream, yeah. It's the bubble in my bloodstream. It's the bubble in my bloodstream, yeah. It's the bubble in my bloodstream, yeah. It's the bubble in my bloodstream,
One of the first songs that I heard from this band was I Miss You and I'm Lonely. I miss you and I'm lonely. I love to write it out phonetically. I'll sometimes just message Noosk, I miss you, I'm lonely.
The first time I listened to that, I thought it was I miss you and I'm horny. And I thought, that's not appropriate for high school as well. Then again.
All right. Well, okay, let's go through track by track then.
So, Cosmic Misery, which is it didn't grab me initially because there was an adjustment period of
it's interesting because
accents.
I re-listened to this
childish
album
voices.
Today. I think that Cosmic Misery is probably their most polished song on the album. It's the one that to me is the
very
most
good. It's one of my favorites
pop-punk.
now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was still getting used to because the other weird thing, and I did read this, they don't have a lead vocalist.
Oh yeah, they
just
all sing.
randomly assign vocals to whatever member of the band wants to fucking do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my god, I can't handle this chaos. Pick a fucking role within the group.
Sometimes that really works. Like there's a particular song later on where it switches between male and female, and they actually use those perspectives as well. Yeah,
because I had one of my old man brain moments where I went, this reminds me of something, and it took me about 4 days to fucking realise what it was. So yeah, Cosmic Misery I very much enjoyed.
Pentagrams and crucifixes, widows, the game. rise from solemn slumber, we await cities laid to waste. Terror at the seas, Armageddon now, cosmic misery. With the cold dark
1997, Passing in the Hallway, as we mentioned, very enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's literally kids singing about how school sucks, which
Yeah.
is awesome, and everyone can relate to that. Present Tense is one of my favorites.
Okay. Yep.
I very, very, very much enjoyed that. And then what's after that?
Dust, Juice, Bones, and Hair.
Oh yeah.
which is one of my favorites.
Yeah. I like it. I really like the lyrics of that. That's
Yeah.
the one that goes through. I'm made of water.
Yeah, I'm,
and I'm made
mostly
of this,
bones.
and
I'm mostly water. I'm mostly air.
Yeah. No, very, very good lyrics. Really, really like it.
I'm mostly bones, I'm mostly liquid, I'm mostly air. I'm mostly bones, I'm mostly liquid.
Then we have Bubble in the Bloodstream, which is one of my favorites. Fucking love it. That chipmunk voice is just, not only does it sound like a kid, it sounds like a fucking 9-year-old kid. Ayla tried to look up how old they were because we were listening to it again this afternoon in the car, and she was like, they sound like children, and she's Googling, and obviously they're too obscure to actually have Wikipedia pages.
Yeah, and I listen to a lot of young musicians. These would probably be some of the youngest, but again, so this album was 2015, I think. They've since released 2 more full-length albums, and I was really torn between what album to give you. I actually think their second album, Blisters in the Pit of My Heart, is
great
better.
name.
Oh, it's fucking fantastic. And their songwriting really elevates there, I think. I think that's a stronger album, but I wanted to give you this one because I think this is a good introduction to Martha. And
I'll definitely check out their other stuff.
Yeah.
As with Charlie Bliss, I'm intrigued enough to want to hear more. Charlie Bliss, I won't because you told me not to, but these guys, I'll go and check out the other stuff.
Yeah.
Move to Durham and Never Leave.
The only reason not to listen to more Charlie Bliss is because their style changes so drastically that I want to give you that next album and hear your reaction. Whereas with Martha, stylistically, they're pretty set. So go ahead and listen to the rest of their stuff. Yeah.
It reminded me a little bit of like really early Jebediah or something where it's kind of rough around the edges, and you kind of can just envisage these guys. They've rolled up the garage door and just doing their thing.
Yeah.
So Move to Durham and Never Leave, I really, really, really liked.
That's probably their most punk song. It's their least kind of pop punk and their most kind of direct.
I can see that. Up until this point, my favourite song was the next one, Gin and Listerine.
Yeah, okay.
Probably because it felt the least like kids.
Yeah, yep.
So yeah, whoever took over vocals on this one, I think their voice had almost broken. But I thought the title was fucking great. Reminded me of, it's kind of like Gin and Juice, but working class.
Yeah.
Fragments of a memory, outlined for posterity. Tears and arguments, something to do with a missing bag of diet pills and super glue he waits outside the office cause he doesn't have ID. And as I recall, this evening ends badly, soaked in gin and Listerine. Are you still listening to me? Vincenzo, it was a long time.
Their lyrics are so evocative. One of my favourite lines in any song is, I'm jumping ahead here, but I Miss You, I'm Lonely, I think is, for me, one of the best songs on the album. That line about, I spent a a dirty weekend practicing my French. You know, when I asked you and Frank over for a monsoon when I meant ménage à trois, you laughed so hard you cracked your chin against the bar. Like, I love that line. I think there's strong writers for such young people.
Yeah, 100%.
I spent a dirty weekend practicing my French. Rosy cheeked, I saw my limitations there in evidence when I invited Frank and you back to mine for a munch too. When I meant ménage à trois, you laughed so hard you cracked your chin against the bar. This evening might sound funny, but I miss you and I'm lonely. I miss you, I'm lonely. I miss you, I'm lonely.
Then we get to probably my favourite, I think. Sleeping Beauty.
You've said that several times. You've called several songs your favourite. This is good.
No, I've said that one of my favourite.
I think so worried.
I think Sleeping Beauty is probably my favourite.
Okay.
I think, is this the title, or as close as they have to a title track? Is this the one that actually says Courting Strong in the...
No, the one that says Courting Strong, I believe, is actually Gin and Listerine from memory.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, my other favourite. Fair enough. This one I loved the counterpoint vocals.
Yep.
And this is the one that reminded me very strongly of something else, which I don't have queued up, so I can't play it, but maybe you can go away and listen to it and tell me what you think later.
Yeah.
A lot of songs that I came to love as sort of one-hit wonder type things in the 90s were things that were used in ads.
Yeah.
Quite often Apple ads. And I believe it was one of the early iPod Nano ads when they released a whole range of different coloured... So the tall, skinny iPod Nanos, they had a whole range of colours for the first time. They weren't all white. And they had an ad that was like each of them in a row and they were dripping colours down the screen. It looked fucking incredible. Yep. And they had a track by a band called Chairlift. Called Bruises.
Okay, I don't.
You won't know
it. Yeah.
If you didn't go away and Google it after seeing the ad like I did to go, what the fuck was this cool song? And find chat groups that were just about songs used in Apple ads, you wouldn't know it because it's so obscure.
Okay.
But go away and listen to that and then go and listen to Sleeping Beauty. It's got the same male-female counterpoint. There's a very similar melodic through line. It's not punk. It's not, genre-wise it's different. But unlike the Happy Land thing for Charlie Bliss, I reckon you'll get this one.
Okay, I'll check it out. I'll put it in the show when I edit.
Only do that if it's really apparent that they're similar, because I'm sick of feeling stupid for these brain farts. But yeah, I do think Sleeping Beauty is my favourite on the album.
Yeah. And
I'm going to take another 24 hours, listen to the album a few more times before I pick the one that's going in the vault for the playlist. Yep. But at the moment, it's Sleeping Beauty.
Swap my Wendy house for your sport gun any day. Your clothes for my clothes, I can't get mine dirty anyway. You see, your football boots, my football knees. I hate these shoes, they bought for me. Inside is boring, but when I showed I had an interest in rugby, they laughed at me.
Nice.
I do like 67, I Miss You, I'm Lonely.
Yep.
Don't feel bad. If I had to pick one that's my least favourite, it's probably So Sad, So Sad.
Yeah, okay. I was just going to ask you about that. Obviously, it's probably the most different stylistically in a lot of ways, and it's a very long song. This is a very fast-paced, frenetic band.
Yeah, most for a punk band, what the fuck is a 6.5 minute song doing?
I was going to say, because most of their songs are less than 3 minutes, and then you end on this nearly 7-minute track, which even throughout the track it varies. We start with the piano.
The Ramones and the Pistols aren't letting them in the fucking club with that monstrosity. It's not happening.
we do get quite a fast, frenetic punk section of this song, and then we end on another kind of slow. So it's never been my favorite. It was funny when I went to re-listen to this album today, and I've re-listened to this album millions of times, But I did notice that there were about 3 songs that didn't have the green tick saying that they were in one of my playlists. And I was like, well, that's interesting, because they're all songs I really love. It was Move to Durham and Never Leave, Gin and Listerine, and So Sad, So Sad, which even though I love those songs, apparently I'd never put them in a playlist. And So Sad, So Sad was the only one where I was like, I get this not being in a playlist because it's
well fucking long.
it's long, yeah. And I still really enjoyed it though on a re-listen. And in fact, as soon as I finished this album, I put the next one on as well.
I almost said earlier, it's so bizarre. They're kind of. I mean, I know they're obviously very young, but they're kind of punky in temperament, or punk wannabe. And that's reflected in the song length, except for, and I almost said Gin and Listerine, which is really fucking long. And then I looked at it and it's just under 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And I went, maybe I looked at it wrong. But no, it's So Sad, So Sad. But Gin and Listerine is the one that has, I mean, from memory anyway, it has the variation inside.
Yeah, it does.
It's the one that feels like it should be the long one, but it's actually quite tight.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why So Sad, So Sad it didn't kind of resonate as much, because it's long, but maybe doesn't have enough in it to justify the length. I didn't dislike it, but I just remember listening to it thinking it's kind of an unfortunate note to end an album on, that where every song's kind of been noteworthy, and then you're ending on the one that's not as much.
Yeah, totally fair. Definitely go and listen to their next album, Blisters in the Pit of My Heart, and the title track from that album, Ice Cream and Sunscreen, is one of my favorites from them. But I'm curious to hear what you think of that album, because they're a lot more polished on it. It's less of that kind of schoolyard feeling and much more like a polished band. But I think that they've just improved their songwriting tenfold on it. So
awesome.
Nice. All right. Well, how are you scoring Courting Strong then? You had me scared that we were coming in here for like a 2 or a 3.
I had a lot of fun with those. Every time I sent a message, I thought I should let him down, and then I got evil again, and I sent another gift.
But it is true though. We're not always going to agree. There's going to be an album at some point that one of us doesn't like.
I'm about to give you one, and I'm very nervous about it because I love it to bits. So the shoe's on the other foot now. You can toy with me all week. What am I going to give it? I think I'm a 7.
Okay, so not as strong as Guppy, but stronger than...
No, Guppy, as you know, I've bought on vinyl.
Yeah.
As soon as I finished playing this through this afternoon, Ayla said, can I put on Guppy again? That's now entered the zeitgeist for our family. It kind of hurts me that I'm avoiding listening to anything more of them, so we just keep replaying fucking Guppy on repeat over and over again. It's not, but very few things are going to reach those heights, and I would expect the stuff I'm giving you, very few things are going to, because my tastes are not your tastes. So we're trying to find things that in our wheelhouse are such exemplars of what we love that they'll work for someone who has different tastes. So. It could be a 7.5. I will keep listening to it. I enjoyed all the songs, and every time I listen to it, I'm enjoying it more. So
nice.
I would say I like this more than the old 97's album.
Yes. Yep.
Because with the exception of maybe So Sad, there's nothing here that I'll skip when I'm just listening to it myself.
Yep.
Whereas the old 97s, there's tracks that I fucking really like.
Yep.
But there are tracks that I will definitely skip.
Yep. Fair enough.
Fucking old Birmingham or whatever it's called. God awful song.
And that's what we're on the hunt. We are on the hunt for an unskippable album. So, yep.
Yeah.
All right. So
Which
what
I couldn't
you...
even achieve with a 4-track album. So it's a fucking hard ask.
What are you going to give me next week?
Alrighty. So I almost gave you this to you last week, but I wanted to make up for the 4 tracks by giving you something really fucking long. I am giving... I don't know if you would be familiar. There was a short-lived sort of post-punk band called the House Martins in the UK. No. They were around from, I want to say like 85 to 87 or something. Very short-lived. Yep. They had 2 or 3 albums, but hugely influential. Yep. And the members went on to do bigger and better things. One of them, Norman Cook, went on to change his name to Fatboy Slim.
Oh, right.
Had a few tracks that you probably have heard.
Yep.
Paul Heaton, the other sort of main singer, and others went on and created a band called The Beautiful South.
Yes, I know The Beautiful South, yeah.
Are you familiar with any of their albums?
I'm actually not. I know
Excellent.
of them, and I've probably heard a couple of songs, but no, I've never heard a full...
I am giving you their debut album, Welcome to the Beautiful South.
Okay.
Which, if you've heard any of their songs, you may have heard the first track on the album, but probably nothing else.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of their sound. I think you will appreciate, if nothing else, you will appreciate their lyricism because I think they are fabulous.
Yep.
Paul Heaton particularly is a fabulous songwriter. He's been, journalists have dubbed him the greatest unsung songwriter in British musical history and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
He's very, very good and very clever with his writing. There are over their course they have had rotating sort of guest female singers. So latter albums have different vocalists alongside Heaton and his name escapes me, but the other guy who does the singing. But they are very, very clever. They are very, very British. They're from Hull. I can't remember if it's Beautiful South or House Martins who dubbed themselves the 4th best band in Hull after 3 other bands that no one's ever heard of anymore. But yeah, they're very, very clever. Yeah, I won't say any more.
Excellent.
I'm interested
I'm
to see
looking
what you
forward
think.
to it. And I'm going to have to start thinking about what album to give you next week too, because I've got a massive list and I don't know where to go. There's some that I'm like, oh yes, I can't wait to get to that one, but then I'm like, oh,
I'm trying the same, and I'm trying to mix it up and not have similar things. That's why I didn't have this straight after Resisting Calm. Not that similar, but and I wanted to kind of have something completely different and then come to this, and then I've got a couple of options for next time.
Yeah. I think I know what I'm going to give you next.
Depend on what you do, because I don't want to put something
I
out
think
that's
I'm
going to
go
like
with
yours.
something very, very different. Because so far I've given you 2 kind of more grungier, heavier albums and the alt country, which again leads towards rock. I'm going to give you something softer for sure, but I'm like, in what genre do I go there? Do I go folk?
Hello,
do
Indigo
I
Girls.
go a cappella? Like I'm just not sure where to go.
I'm intrigued to find out.
All right.
And I'm intrigued to see what you think of this, because
Yes.
Weirdly, call back to my good friend Kylie, who I've mentioned last episode as well. She introduced me to this album.
Yeah, right.
When she and my best mates first started living together, when we were all younger and prettier and thinner, this was on constant rotation.
Nice.
The first track, and there's a track kind of about murder.
Okay.
I won't say any more because you'll discover that. That we just thought were the fucking bee's knees when we were that age, and I still do. So there you go.
Nice.
Welcome to the beautiful South.
Listeners, you can find out the answers to all these questions. Do
And
I like
more.
this album? What am I going to give Dave next week? You can find all these answers next week.
Catch ya.